Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, well, we're shifting gears a bit. We're putting aside the usual geopolitical analysis, the military
Is
report.
that standard stuff?
Exactly. And we're diving into something, well, really unique. It's a stack of source material outlining a spiritual philosophy for global peace.
And it comes from an organization called the Sacred Atlantean Brotherhood. Their whole approach, it seems, bypasses traditional diplomacy entirely.
Right. It focuses instead on the state of human consciousness itself. Our mission today is to really explore their central premise. They frame it quite dramatically, actually. Humanity is at a dangerous crossroads. That's their term, the core argument. We've built these incredibly precise, incredibly deadly weapons, planetary scale destruction capability.
Yeah, the tech is terrifying.
But here's the kicker. These weapons are in the hands of people the Brotherhood says are unprepared spiritually, morally, or consciously to handle them.
And what's fascinating, is how they link this very modern problem, these high-tech war machines, to something ancient. It's the human heart, basically. The source says it remains reckless, chaotic even, when it's separated from what they call divine unity.
So technology didn't just outpace our wisdom.
It actually accelerated the consequences of that separation, according to them. Our sort of spiritual immaturity has become an existential threat because of the tech.
That's quite a statement. It implies the usual methods, deterrence, treaties, they're fundamentally flawed.
That seems to be the implication, the gap between what we can build and what we are.
Yeah.
Emotionally, spiritually, that's the real vulnerability.
Okay, so let's unpack their solution then, because it sounds incredibly simple, almost too simple. Unity. The demand is, well, it's huge. Stop seeing others as enemies. See them as extensions of ourselves. But how? Do they offer, practical steps for nations?
Well, that's the interesting part. They don't really focus on the nation-state level. They argue the state just reflects the individuals within it. So the focus is inward, on the individual. And this leads us to their foundational teaching about consciousness.
Consciousness itself?
Yes. They teach that consciousness, capital C, is inherently uncorruptible. And here's the really radical claim. They say this uncorrupted consciousness is what the ancients actually called Atlantis.
Wait, hold on. Atlantis? Not the sunken city?
Apparently not. They're completely redefining it. Most sources see Atlantis as, a physical place, a cautionary tale about a fallen civilization.
Yeah, lost continent.
But this text says Atlantis was never a physical location to find under the sea. It was the name for the highest state of collective human consciousness, a unified state.
So Atlantis was lost, but it wasn't land, it was a state of being.
Precisely. And this consciousness, this Atlantis, it's always present, but it operates in two states, depending on our focus. It shines brighter when focused on the eternal. So when we're aligned with unity, truth, that sort of thing.
Okay. And the other state?
It dims when distracted by shadows of fear and materiality. Think of fear and materialism as, static. The signal, consciousness, is still there.
But we're tuning into the noise instead. Like nations stockpiling weapons out of fear.
Exactly. That fear, that assumption of separation and hostility, that's the shadow dimming the light of unity. That's the dimmed state.
So the path to peace is simply shifting focus. Individually first, then maybe collectively.
That's the core idea. But it's not just passive thinking. They have a very structured, disciplined path for this.
Right. You mentioned the 9 degrees.
Yes, 9 degrees, divided into 3 distinct paths of growth. It seems designed to take someone from, spiritual ignorance right up to mastery.
Why 9? Is there significance there?
The Force suggests 9 represents completion. 3 stages of initiation, like self-recognition, 3 of knowledge, self-control, and 3 of mastery, self-governance. It's a progression. Maybe in the first degree, you just learn to observe your reactions. By the 9th, the goal is to act instinctively from that place of unity.
Okay, let's get into the structure. Because it uses these really interesting symbolic tools, right? Nautical metaphors.
Yes, very evocative. It starts with the initiate. Their tools are the ocean and the ship.
The ocean and the ship. What do they represent?
The ship is the self, your individual consciousness. The ocean is, everything else. The chaos, emotions, external conflicts, societal pressures. The first step for the initiate is just recognizing they are a ship, distinct from the water, something that can be steered, not just tossed around.
Okay, makes sense. Then you move to the Navigator.
Right, and the tools change. Now it's the compass and the anchor.
Compass for direction, anchor for stability.
Exactly. The Navigator learns they need to move through the chaos, not just float in it. The compass is their moral, spiritual direction finder. The anchor is stability, grounding in truth. You need that grounding before you can really choose a direction.
And only after mastering that, you become the captain.
Correct. And the tools shift again. The Blazing Star and the Sextant.
Ah, so now you're navigating by the stars, not just the immediate surroundings.
Precisely. The captain is the fully realized leader. They're not just reacting to the ocean or checking the immediate compass. They use the sextant, the tool for measurement against the blazing star.
Which represents?
Eternal principles, divine unity, unchanging truth. It's about leadership that measures itself against universal laws, not shifting politics or, popular opinion. Master yourself before you try to guide humanity.
Okay, that's the path.
Yeah.
Now let's look at the goal, peace. Their main scripture, the Book of Remembrance, seems to dismiss external solutions entirely. There's a powerful quote here. Peace shall not be born of weapons, but of hearts aligned as one flame. When a man sees his brother as himself, the sword falls useless from his hand. That's a striking image, a warrior just dropping their weapon.
It is, because the motivation for violence disappears when that recognition clicks in. But your question earlier is key. How does this apply to, say, long-standing international conflicts?
Yeah, how do you get entire nations to see each other that way?
Well, the source critiques why conventional methods fail. They're based on separation, take treaties.
Okay, they're political deals. Based on perceived advantage. The source says they can be broken the moment that advantage seems to shift. They're inherently unstable.
And reliance on deterrence, mutually assured destruction, things like that.
That's built on fear. And the text points out, fear fades and grows restless. It's a temporary suppressor, not a solution. It doesn't fix the underlying division.
It just puts the conflict on pause, basically.
Exactly. Until the fear weakens or the perceived need for aggression gets stronger.
So, for true peace, this unity thing needs to become second nature, not a calculation.
Yes, that's the goal. The source uses this wonderful analogy. Unity is achieved when the sailor no longer thinks of the ship as separate from the ocean or the ocean from the sky.
It all becomes one interconnected system.
Right. It's organic, seamless. In that state, harming another is wounding yourself. Loving another is expanding your own consciousness. That realization, they argue, is the only real antidote to the separation driving conflict and, well, weapons proliferation. And they don't claim this idea is totally new, do they? They link it to older texts.
No, they ground it. They reference the ancient Gospel of Thomas, for example, to show the kind of power unlocked when this separation is healed.
What does it say?
They quote the line, "When you make the two one, you will become children of man, and when you say, mountain, move away, it will move."
Whoa. Okay, not literal mountains, presumably.
Probably not literal geology, no. But it speaks to this almost unimaginable power, a miracle-working capacity maybe that comes from integrating the inner and outer, the self and other, into one unified whole.
So what's the takeaway for us listening to this today? The Brotherhood's conclusion seems pretty clear.
Yeah, it's direct. Unity is the miracle worker. It's the only true defense because it dissolves the will to attack. And ultimately, unity is global peace.
It's not a policy outcome, it's a state of being we need to achieve.
That's their position.
And this teaching comes from their grandmaster, Waxhira. And they're actively sharing this. You mentioned a YouTube channel.
Yes, they seem quite open about it. They reference Outreach, their channel at Atlantean Brotherhood. For more on the 9 degrees, the Book of Remembrance, it feels like an invitation.
An invitation to lay down the weapons of division and take up the tools of consciousness. It's like they're recruiting people to fix global conflict by fixing themselves first.
And that practical takeaway, I think, is crucial. The weapons themselves, the scary tech we started with, they only lose their power when the people who made them outgrow the need to wield them.
So disarmament doesn't come from treaties forcing surrender.
But from a kind of spiritual obsolescence, the weapons just become irrelevant because the consciousness behind them has shifted.
Which brings right back to the listener, to you. The text ends with this challenge, doesn't it? Peace is not a dream of tomorrow. It is the choice we make today.
A very immediate call to action.
Absolutely. We've explored this Brotherhood's path. They're pretty radical ideas for peace. But maybe the biggest question they leave us with, the real mystery, is this. If they're right, if consciousness itself, the spiritual concept, is what the ancients actually called Atlantis, what does recovering that lost Atlantis really mean for our global security today? Maybe Atlantis wasn't a place at all, but a state of unified wisdom we desperately need to rediscover to survive the very tools we've created. Something to think about.
Definitely food for thought.
Thank you for sharing this material and letting us dive deep into such a unique perspective. And thank you all for joining us. Keep exploring, keep questioning.